Hello, and welcome to the Empress podcast. I am your host, Jessica, known in the online space as Jess the Empress. I started this podcast to help you be present with yourself, cope with chaos, and simplify your life. I do this by combining psychology, behavioral science, and the tarot. I have a background in mental health, specifically a master's in clinical social work from USC, and I'm a professional tarot reader. So get ready to have a nurturing, creative, and empowering experience with me as we use practical magic. All right, girl, we're live. Hello and welcome. For all of you watching and listening, I want to introduce you to a really special friend of mine. We've been friends for like 6 years on Instagram. She is the owner, the boss lady, and the creator of everything at Sofi and Ari. This is Miss Maria. Hey, girl. Hey.
Hi.
Hi. How are you?
Good.
All right. Tell us a little bit about yourself. And before you launch in, my audience likes to know the star signs because I got a lot of astrology listeners out here. So, what is your star sign?
All right. I am a Cancer sun, Gemini moon, and a Libra rising.
Oh, nice. You got the air and the water.
Yeah, I'm not
Have what?
too versed in all that, but when I read up on it, I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense why I am the way I am.
You got that clarity. Oh my gosh, that's great. All right. So, tell us about yourself.
All right. I'm a twin mom. I have two little ladies on the spectrum,
Mhm.
on opposite ends of the spectrum. I'm a wife and married my bestie.
Oh,
I have, oh, my girls are on the spectrum, like I said. Small business owner, living the
mhm.
dream. Uh,
Yes.
And I like to craft. And I think I'm hilarious. My husband will tell you otherwise, but I think
No,
he's
I
just
think you're funny too. I always laugh every time that we chat. I think you're so cute.
thank you. And I also cannot do math.
Yeah, we established that before we started, but also neither can I. So it's one of the other things we have in common is, that's not really, we all have strengths and weaknesses, girl. It's fine. We're
Yeah,
not strong in the math department. Is your man, is he strong in math? Can he do numbers and stuff?
totally.
See,
Yes.
mine can too. So we need we need the
Yeah.
balance.
Yeah. He has the memory retention. He has the mathematical, the analytical stuff.
Oh, we
He's that.
love it. See, this is so good. It probably helps keep you grounded or just like kind of checks you when you get like too heady.
Oh yeah, that's all the time,
I
all
love
the time.
it. I love it.
Because
I'm
maybe
so
like, with the flow, it's like, oh, it's okay, everything will work out. He's like, no, we need a plan. Must always have a plan. And I'm just like,
obsessed. I know. Like, I know I need it, but I don't want it. Oh, so
yeah.
funny. So, Sophie and Ari, that is your business. You are the creatrix of all things. Can you just tell us how you got started in being a small business owner? Where did this journey begin for you?
Yeah, it started in school. I think I was a little bored sitting in class in I think college, and I just started sketching. I would
Okay.
sketch the people in my class. I would sketch the classroom, the teacher, and that really put my head at ease. And at the time, I didn't know, but I have ADHD, so that helped a lot just to like calm everything down.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, I started painting one day. Um, my sister is actually the painter of the family, and she was gone, and I was visiting, and so I just picked up her stuff with her permission, and painted my first drawing and my first painting, and it was awesome. And then started doing more and more of that, and people actually started buying it, and I was like, "Oh my God, you guys really like this stuff!"
Yeah.
And just helped put my mind at ease. When I was bored or my mind was racing, that's what I would do. And
Mhm.
then I had kids, and that changed the whole game. I started creating different things correlating to what I needed at the time.
Yeah.
So it started with my journals, I think, and meditation. I was doing all these self-care things
Yeah.
and wanted something and then decided, well, I can make that. And so I made whatever tools I needed to help me. And it started with meditation beads,
Mm-hmm.
gratitude journals,
Mm-hmm.
and from there blossomed all sorts of jewelry and crystal infused type
Yeah.
spiritual pieces.
Yeah. And so when you guys listening and watching, when you guys check out her shop, you'll see everything she's talking about incorporated in various forms because I love your artwork, by the way, I have to say, because every time you post it online, I'm like, damn, she's like really good at this thing. It's not my strength. I think like paint by numbers is my friend, and you out here you're just winging it, creating shit on canvas. And I'm like, damn, this girl's so talented. But you guys are gonna see everything, so make sure you check out our site. Link's gonna be in the show notes. So you're saying, okay, you got some spiritual stuff going on. How long have you been witchy? Like always, or tell us about that?
Yeah, I think it started unknowingly. I think my mom may have put little stuff in my life with her not knowing that it's witchy,
Yeah,
sometimes
right.
it's cultural.
Mhm.
Um, but I think it started little by little with her. And then when I left the church um, and stepped into my own path, that's when I think it was all full blast. I don't have like
Mhm.
I wish I could remember that one time that was like, or had a one time that everything changed for me. But I think it was the
Yeah.
cool little things and just learning stuff on my own.
Hmm.
Um, and then it just sort of just brought me to that genre, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
And I
Your
love
way
it.
is so valid. There's a saying that's called all ways are ways. Like
Yeah,
however you get there is how you get there, so it's all good, you know?
that's
That's
what I've
so
realized
cool.
too. It's like there's different names for the same idea.
Right? Oh yeah,
The
definitely.
end game is the same. The messages are the same. It's just different characters, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever you find peace with is great for you.
Yes.
Um, but I think that's important. Is you find your own way, you live your best life,
Mm-hmm.
most fulfilled, at peace, and then I mean it's all the same.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I see it too. It's like all connected. So what are your favorite witchy tools that you're using right now?
Crystals.
Yes.
I just found it on the table
Wait,
thanks to
which
my
one
girl.
is that?
Amazonite.
Oh, what tell it? Can you tell us? Do you know anything about it? Can you tell us?
Yeah, it's for your throat chakra.
Oh, I love that's
Ironically,
smart. That's so smart.
take it right here.
I
For
love it.
communication.
Okay.
Yeah, if you have like in public speaking or you have to confront someone about an issue, this is the one to have to be like, give you a little confidence boost.
Oh, yeah.
And it just happened to be in the fake crochet food bowl thing that I bought from a local artist. And then my kids just like stuck in there and I was making like a makeshift stand and found it and didn't realize that that's what it was until now.
Wow. Literally perfect.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's so cute. Oh, can you show off your earrings, by the way? These are one of the things that she makes. I think I have this pair too. I bought that pair from you. Yeah.
Yes.
So freaking cute. You guys, so if you watch any of my other YouTubes and I'm wearing those earrings, I have her linked so you guys can get them because those are like a staple in your shop, right? You kind of always have that stocked.
Yes, I made that. I love snakes. I love the symbolism and everything and moons and that has the triple moon in it too.
Yeah.
Um, that's just one that I put together and just kept this whole time and I'm like, you saw it here first.
I know
So
it's gorgeous. I really, yeah, I never saw it anywhere else other than where it was with your shop. Like it reminds me of the High Priestess tarot card because she has the crescent moons and she's all
oh
about like intuition and sensing. And I think snakes, at least for me, they remind me of being grounded because their bellies are to the ground. You know, they like to
oh
see a different perspective of things. And
yeah.
I love snakes too.
Yeah. Yeah, I love the shedding symbolism,
Mhm.
the growth symbolism.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorites. But
Yeah,
yeah, that's
that's you, girl. Shedding and growing all the time.
all the time.
Constantly just, yeah, just always new creations. So, How do you stay in touch with your intuition? You got your crystals, but like as a business owner, as a mom of twins on the spectrum, like how do you get connected to that part of you that guides you into this place, into creating?
Um, I would say I would just stop and listen and meditate, but I really don't as much as I need to.
Hmm.
Um, it's really hard just to be quiet and be
It is.
still.
Yeah.
And I've created malas for that purpose, but there are some days where I just can't just sit there and do it. I'd rather be making stuff and I guess
Yeah.
meditate that sort of way.
Right.
But I think it's just training and learning to if to just listen, to stop and listen. That if
Mhm.
you're doing something and you feel a certain way, um, to really just tune in and listen and think why I'm feeling that way. Like I was at ease today. I said something doesn't, my spirit doesn't feel right. Something,
Mhm.
and usually I would um like ignore it or brush it off or whatever. Um, could be nothing. Maybe I'm overstimulated as a mom.
Mhm.
But today I was like, no, it might actually be something. And so I just let myself be in that uneasy thing and just took, I guess, precautions that I felt like I needed to take. And then just went with the flow because
Yeah.
you just have to learn to stop and listen. My intuition has gotten me out of situations before, especially in college.
That's good.
Sometimes it screams at
It
you,
does,
like
right? For sure.
literally sounds like a scream in your head, like leave
Yeah.
or get out or
Oh,
no.
yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know. It's just training yourself to actually validate that that's your gut and you should listen, not to brush it off, which takes a lot
Yeah.
of practice. And I'm going to be practicing all the time. So,
We're all same. I mean, our whole life, it's because, like you're saying, there are probably days where you're overstimulated and there's just more things happening and there's more demands on you. And so there might be only a 5-minute window of just kind of checking in and being like, yeah, got some feelings, but I gotta go. And then
yeah.
it's like you gotta do things. But then there are other days where time and space allow you to really sit and to tap in and hear and feel a little bit more. But I love that what you're saying is just going with the flow, like embracing each day as it comes to you in all of its moments of peace and moments of chaos and being available to make sure you don't neglect yourself. I think that's so important because so many people are doing that out here. As you know, moms are like trained to just be like, put yourself last. And it's like, no, I
No,
will not have that.
it's not selfish. It is not selfish to think of you
Right.
first. I tell people, I have a mom friend with the same name as me,
Hey,
and
Ray.
yeah, we talk every single day. We're like each other's check-ins where we can be raw and unfiltered about
Mhm.
motherhood and parenting,
Yes.
complaining and like celebrating too, not just all like negative
Yeah.
stuff, celebrating our kids and ourselves. And I tell people, I was like, you come first. I don't care how selfish that sounds. I was like, you need to do what's best for you because if you're not good, then your house isn't good, your kids aren't good, your partner isn't good.
Yep.
It feels unfair sometimes that everyone else depends on you that much.
Mhm, mhm,
Sometimes
mhm,
as mom, when we're feeling like we're drowning, we want someone else to pull us out, but
mhm,
sometimes it's not going to happen. We have to be able to just keep floating until we reach a resting point. But
mhm,
in order to do that, we need to have our own cup filled,
mhm,
that saying, fill your own cup.
mhm.
And I think that's really important that we believe that that is not a selfish aspect of parenting or motherhood, that you need to take care of yourself first and then everyone else can wait.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I reflect back on times where I know my mom was stepping into that moment. And as a kid, you're like, I don't get it, but as an adult, you're like, oh, I get it. And it's also like, perspective. You grow, you look back on, the way that you grew up and you're like, whoa, it's not what I thought it was. In the moment, it felt like this because my window of perspective was smaller, worldview kind of thing. And as you grow, you're like, wow, like my mom really did have that art down of being able to put herself first. And I really value that because it's something that I've been able to tap into now in my adult life And she was so good about being really clear and firm with her boundaries and just letting us know like she wasn't available for something, but it didn't mean that she didn't love us. And so I really saw that coming through of like, oh, okay, yeah, mom gets overstimulated and tired. Of course, like she's a human. It's humanity, like to be tired and like to not, no one's a superhero, like we're doing our best. Yeah, but I love that you're saying you got to check in, buddy. And
Yes.
you give yourself a lot of grace and compassion, which is very, very important. You're a very beautiful reflection of that. So thank you, because all the mamas need to hear that.
Yeah.
Can you tell us more about your day-to-day flow, like with mom life kiddos business? What does that look like for you?
Yeah. So I have the luxury of being able to be a stay-at-home mom and do my business full time now.
Okay.
And sadly, that came with the very sudden passing of my mother-in-law because she
Mhm.
used to watch the girls all the time. She was a huge part of their lives. She was
Yeah.
here every single day,
Oh,
which looking back, is just absolutely perfect that the girls got to spend all their time, like 4 or 5 years, 5 years
wow.
continuously with her every single day. But
Mhm.
because of that, I had to stay home. And now that they're in school, I can balance my work, my crafting and
Mhm.
my business, and during that time. So I get up, I get the girls ready for school while my husband gets ready for work. And then once they're out the door, I'm usually so tired, by the way. I'm just like, all right,
Yeah.
1 hour, the one
Yeah.
hour getting them together and getting them
Mhm.
out the door. And then I can go lay back down. And
Mhm.
I used to be very ashamed, I felt so bad that I needed to go take a nap
Really?
after getting up. Yes, yes, because I grew up in this culture where you had to, if you're not being productive, you're being lazy. And it didn't matter whether you were tired or depressed or just had absolutely no energy, didn't feel good. If you were not constantly doing something, you're being lazy. And so that's something I'm training out of my mind. So once they're gone, most of the time now, I will go take a nap. And once I'm up, I'll do any household stuff that I need to do. Not dishes, as I look at them right now.
It's all
Not
good.
dishes.
Put your blinders on, girl.
Hate it. I hate it. I'll do the grocery shopping part of things, or if I need supply, I'll go out and get supply. Or if I need a mental health walkthrough at a thrift store, that's what I'm doing. I'm going in and I'm looking at every little thing, or I'll go to a small shop somewhere
Mhm.
and look at
Love
all the
it.
little things from different vendors. And
Mhm.
then I get into the car line, which is about an hour of pure, just like wonderful. You can listen to a book, you can
Yeah.
car, and then the kids getting in the car, and then we have a whole tornado of life.
I love it.
Times two. I'm usually breaking up a fight within the first 10 to 15 minutes, and then we get home, they eat all the snacks, and we just hang out, watch TV, or go outside after they do homework. And
Yeah.
then, bedtime, I get into crafting. If I don't make stuff while they're awake, I
Mhm.
always do it when they're in bed.
Okay.
Like my favorite part of the day because their husband is on his video games, and sometimes I'm listening into how emotional these people get on the little games.
Girl,
Oh my God.
girl. Well, we need to have a whole nother podcast about that hot mess of a situation. Like, what in the? I thought y'all were grown men. Maybe they're not. Maybe most of them were like kids, but I don't know. I'm like, do you realize
Yeah.
that this is not? It's not real. You get that, right? It's like on a screen. Do we know that? But it's also the same type of dudes who probably yell at like the football.
Oh yeah.
Like they could get like the coach can hear them from the TV, like the couch. It's like actually
Yeah.
no.
Yeah. They don't know you're there. But okay.
So funny.
It's really funny. I'll hear my husband, he'll be like, "You guys, it's just a game."
Oh my God, I love your husband. He's so sweet. He's like literally so grounded, just like calming everyone down, being the voice of reason.
Yeah. It's really funny. Um, but yeah, and I'll be in the back just like making stuff or whatever. And he has gamer friends now, and
Okay.
they'll check in and be like, "Hey, how's your wife doing?" like
So
what she
cute.
making stuff, and I've actually sold like a couple bracelets to one of his gamer friends, and I was like
I love
excited.
this.
So I really made it in life, and he promoted me, so it's fun.
That
And
is
then
so
especially,
cute.
yeah,
Ah,
great.
my heart.
And then they're like, "Does she actually lets you do this?" He's like, "Yeah, she's back there crafting. It's fine." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"I know."
Also, first
You're
of all, let you like, ugh,
Yeah, no, no. I was like, "That's your self-care. That's your time. You have
facts.
fun."
Right. Yeah. Because as you were saying, when you put yourself first, better person. Same for
Yeah,
him, right? Why wouldn't that be the
yeah,
same? His self care is whatever it is that brings him back into your space and into the kid space and into the workspace as like a better, more happy person. And like we want that, right?
yeah,
That's
definitely.
great. All right. So you're crafting as he's gaming. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh, I love it. And how are you up really late? Like what's the schedule?
yeah.
Because like what time are you getting up? 6 a.m.?
6:30.
Okay.
Yeah, 6:30 in the morning. If they don't wake up earlier than that, which is they're usually okay about that. Weekends, they feel like getting up earlier for some reason, and I
Oh.
think it's just cruel.
I know.
Well,
I was like, I'm sorry, girl.
it's fine. I mean, I'm up to like 1 or 2 in the morning.
Okay.
I shouldn't, but whatever, it's fine.
It's a
But
stage. It doesn't mean it's going to be forever. Like, I have bouts like that where I have things I want to accomplish.
yeah,
Other priorities are not in the way, but just is a priority, right? And then the lesser priorities come sometimes in the evening, and that is just a fact. It's a phase. And sometimes it's like a 2-year phase, and it is what it is.
yeah, yeah. And I feel like I function better at night. Like once the evening hits and nighttime, that's more my time. I feel like I'm more of a more have more energy and all that. So I don't like the whole you have to sleep from this time to this time. It's like, no.
No, definitely not. I mean, that's a whole nother thing of like how society tries. I think society is created like the whole 9 to 5 is and like the early morning. It's all created for people to like be early morning risers, but like that's just not everyone's like go-to way of being. And
Right.
yeah, I love that you give yourself permission to just continuously be yourself. That's so lovely.
Yes, it's hard because you're constantly fighting that little voice that you grew up with in the back, but practice.
Practice, right? I'm sorry if did you hear Siri? She just popped in and I got distracted for a second.
No.
I didn't say anything and I don't know what she was doing. Rude.
I didn't hear it.
Okay, good. Okay, good. All right, back on track. So before you had the kiddos in a school routine, you were still doing what you're doing now,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
differently. So can you give us like a little bit of a play by play on how that was? Just because I know I have mamas listening and their kiddos aren't quite there yet, and so I want you to like maybe inspire them if they're on the trajectory for that, but not quite there yet.
Yeah. I would always stay up late. When they were really, really little, babies, they were up every 2 hours needing to be fed.
Mhm.
And they were kind of on the same time, but my husband and I had to sleep in shifts because of that. The first couple of years, I don't think I crafted much.
Okay.
I think I went on Instagram and created my mom life type profile where we initially met.
Mhm.
And that, I think that helped me sort of like a electronic journal type. I think that helped me just want to put out there what real mom life was like at that
Mhm.
time. And
Mhm.
I'll try to journal. I think that's when I started journaling.
Okay.
It's when the postpartum depression hit.
Mhm.
Um, that was my go-to to like try to rewire my brain since therapy stopped, insurance stopped paying for therapy.
Mhm.
So I started doing little exercises at night just or whenever I had a break. It usually was at night when they started getting a better sleep routine.
Mhm.
Um, to write down certain parts of the day that were good and what I was grateful for, an affirmation, try to revisit that every day to help rewire the brain.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, it was a great tool for me to do, and I ended up publishing that format for my first journal. But those first couple of years were rough, and someone told me that too. They said, just wait till they're 5, it gets so much easier. And I was like, I think they were 2 or 3 when I heard that. I was like,
God, I know. My God. And here you are. You made it.
yeah, yeah. And I just stay
Yeah.
up late. If I needed to do art or paint or needed to like get something out,
Yeah.
um, I would have to make that time to stay up late, or I would do the journal where it only take me about, it could take me 5 minutes, it could take me 30 seconds, it could take me an hour, just
Yeah.
depending if I
Mm-hmm.
decorated the pages or not.
Okay. I
Yeah.
love that. Yeah, what I'm hearing and what I really hope, other people are inspired by is your ability to continually use everything around you for your opportunity. You step into whatever the flow of life is and you say, okay, if I only have 30 seconds, I'm going to at least write down like what an emotion or something in my journal. I'm at least going to hold myself accountable to checking in. And you used
Mhm.
a really important key phrase that I think is great, which was, I'm going to make time. So you figured it out. Like with whatever you had going on, you made a conscious decision to show up time and time again. And it didn't have to be the same every day, right? You didn't block yourself in and be like, I'm going to make myself, I'm going to force myself do this, like in a way that would burn you out. You already had a lot going on, but you used Instagram to your advantage. You stayed
Mhm.
up a little bit later, and the reality is, and I say this to my clients all the time, you're going to be tired. No matter what you do, it's tiring sometimes to just be alive.
Yeah.
So you're going to be tired. So why not just get what you need to get done while tired? Why make it a story? Like, why create a bigger scenario in your head about how tired you are when you can just do it tired? Like, who cares?
Yeah.
I love that. I love that about you so much. You just you're such a go getter. So, what part of you is able to create like you do? Like, where does this even come from?
Cool. That's a good question. Um, I have no idea. I tend to hyper focus. I find something I like, I want it or I want to try it, and then I hyper focus, and then that just comes out. I don't know. It's in my soul. Whenever I
Yeah.
was made, they put all that sparkle.
Hi, girl. We know it. We know it.
Sparkle was in there, and then I could.
Yes. Well, it sounds like you stay open. It sounds like you stay open, and that allows you to be inspired by a lot of different things. And then it also sounds like you don't really get in your own way. You give yourself permission to try and just see
Yeah.
what happens. Fuck around and find out, as they say, right? Like you just are very open to that. And I think that's what allows you to be so free is by recognizing that you don't need to figure it out ahead of time. You can just see what happens. And even if it's a spark or it's a firework, it sounds like you're very willing to just get your hands on it and do something with it and see if that takes you anywhere.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
that that phase where I'm learning something new, and I'll do tons of research too
Hmm.
prior
Hmm.
to my meditation beats, the malas. I did a ton of research on what they were, how to create them, the meaning behind them, because I didn't
Hmm.
want to just string a bunch of beads onto like just a stretchy cord or
Hmm.
a stringing bead wire thing or whatnot. I wanted to look
Yeah.
at the deeper meaning behind that and pay respect to um what the malas are, what they
Yeah.
symbolize. Because anyone can just put strings, I mean, beads on a string. That's
Yeah.
not hard to do, and they make pretty things, and pretty brings joy to people, and that's fine too. But I always deep dive into things to make sure I'm doing it correctly
Yeah.
and that it has some sort of meaning behind it, because that's really important to me that I'm putting my energy into a piece and
Hmm.
getting it out or
Yes.
selling it. And I want to make sure that transfers correctly.
Hmm.
Um, I think that's just really important.
Hmm. Yeah. The intention. I love that you're so pure behind it and that you make sure that you are well educated. And I think that's a really beautiful thing. So, okay, when you were jumping in and you were creating and you were doing all the things, What excuses or challenges, obviously raising twins is like a challenge, not in like a negative way, but like it's a task, you know what I mean? But what did you have to encounter and overcome along the way to creating Sophie and Ari?
Um, I think so. Perfection doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
So not someone's idea of perfection is your period at the end of sentence perfection. I think getting out of my own head at first, thinking, "Oh, is this good enough?" It's not perfect. I can't put it out there to sell, or I
Mm-hmm.
can't like post it, or um, I shouldn't even finish this piece or whatever because it's just not good enough. I think when you first put something out there for any type of craft or any type of business, you are putting out a piece of you. And
Mm-hmm.
it's a very vulnerable feeling
Yes.
because it's something that you love and you put your heart out onto, and then you put it out to the world. And it's like going out there, opening the doors to the world or standing in front of the stage naked in
Yeah.
front of everyone, being like, look at me. What do
Yep.
you think? And then it's just that part is really scary. But I think once you can move past that part and really not come across, but just I don't want to say get over it. It's not something you get over because you do put your heart out. Just know that other people's opinions of what you do is not fact.
Right.
Um, and that when you're working on something, it doesn't have to be perfect right away. Like I'm working on new things right now with crochet purses, which
Mm-hmm.
so
Yeah.
crochet purses, and I'm really embracing the fact that it doesn't have to be perfect the first time I do it. Because
Right.
I think that's what my headspace was for a long time. That
Right.
it has to look good right away. And this time I'm like, oh, I messed up. That's okay. It's a prototype. It's fine. And then
Right.
the
Right.
weight is be lifted off, and I would actually like enjoy the whole process.
That's so
So I think
beautiful.
it's just going out there and putting it out there at first is very daunting.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I guess you have to build a shield up and just know that if someone says something negative about whatever you put out, or however you're living or anything, because it can translate into your everyday life, um, that it's not a representation of you. It's not a fact about you, their
Right.
opinion that might be negative. It's usually a reflection of something they see in you that they lack in themselves and
Mm-hmm.
projecting it out on you. And it's completely unfair. But I
Yeah.
like to keep it in mind in case anyone says anything. And I'm like,
Right. I mean,
we
and the
got
reality is, oh, I know. And the reality too is like your friends and the people who love you and your support team, they probably won't blast you like on the internet. They probably pull you aside and be like, Ma, I gotta have a little talk about something that happened. And it will be more personal and it will be constructive and it will be heartfelt, right? It's not gonna be like, this sucks. Like, and I'd be like, who are you? Username with a no face. Like, fuck
yeah,
off. Like, bye.
yeah,
I hear you. So, okay. So, building some resilience along the way is important. And then I hear what you're saying when you're like getting over it, but the words were coming to my mind of like just moving through it, right? Just choosing to decide to put whatever you have out, knowing that there's always going to be somebody saying something, but instead deciding to just focus on your craft, your project, your process, and like
yeah.
let that be what you ground into. And just don't pay attention or pay less attention to the haters because whatever, like they're going to be there.
And be authentic and genuine to your work. Don't
Yeah.
I know everything. I know people love trendy stuff, but I saw that recently at a couple vendor events that I got to actually shop at, not
Yay.
actually booth.
Yeah.
I just saw almost like the same thing in various ones. You know, everyone's doing
Yeah.
similar stuff, or see one person does one thing and another person will copy it, and that just I'm like, as unless you are being genuine and authentic in your art form, your
Mhm.
craft, it's gonna last longer and your
Mhm.
people will find you and stick with you
Yep.
than if you're just like, oh, I like what she's doing, I'm gonna copy that. sell it a little bit. Oh, I'm going to copy that one too. Oh, this is trending. I have to do that. Because then you're not really doing it for you. You're doing it for everyone else. And
Yeah.
then that usually doesn't, from what I've seen, it doesn't really last. And your people will just jump from different people, and there's no like commitment or a
Mm-hmm.
following. Like you want to have people who believe in you as a person too, because
Totally.
we can sell stuff, but they're also buying from the person.
Yeah. Yeah, that matters. Like getting to know the small business owner is so important. I love when I get to walk around and meet people and hang out and get to know them and know their stories, local, whether it's here in Mexico or it's in San Diego. And I think that it's so cool to hear a person's story and what inspired them and how they keep creating. Like I'm fascinated by that. And so yeah, you want that. You want those people that care, that show up and obviously that buy, but that have an emotional investment in you as the human being behind anything that you're doing. I love that. And yes, being authentic, because I think people can tell.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You don't want to be like the Sheen of, or is it Shein? Sheen, like whatever that, yeah.
Yeah.
You don't want to be the Sheen of jewelry girl. You want to make like statement pieces because because you yourself are a statement. That's what I think.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. So, mom of kiddos with special needs, what advice do you have for other mothers to stay on track with their goals and their personal development? Because I can imagine that it's just a whole lot of things that you needed to learn along the way that you were not anticipating. And you could have just deviated away from everything and dropped everything and given up. But how did you stay on track? What would you advise?
Um, for me, I was initially overloaded with a ton of information when I first got the first diagnosis. And it was very devastating to hear that your child's like level 3 on the autism spectrum, and they're going to be nonverbal, and it's the worst one. And she's going to need a lot of help. Here's a list of numbers. Bye.
Oh,
Good
yeah.
luck.
Yeah.
It infuriated me too. But I went to my craft and created a journal where I could keep up with all the notes and everything and try to find ways to do that. But I think it's important to just remember that it's okay to ask for help.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's hard to ask for help, but
Mm-hmm.
when you're in that sort of situation and you're drowning and your whole life is trying to get help for your child, um, it's important to remember that you don't have to do it alone. There's a whole community of parents and moms and everything that have kids on the spectrum, and even just to have someone to listen to or talk to you. um, I think that's really important, and that you don't being on track with your personal development or anything that you set goals for yourself. You don't have to stay in that one lane to get to point B. Like, oh my
Mm-hmm.
God, this is where I want to be at this time in my life or whatnot. You don't have to do that. You don't have to walk that straight path. You
Mm-hmm.
can sit down in the middle of this road and just figure out what's going on around you
Right.
first,
Yep.
and then we can progress later. There's no due date for these things. So
Mm-hmm.
I think it's important to remember that there's no timeline in which you have to get this thing done first and this thing done by this age, or you should have all this stuff figured out
Yeah.
by whenever. That's not true. You can take each moment that you get and just try to do the best you can at that time, and you're
Mm-hmm.
winning. Like you're not failing. If you're trying your best at whatever point in life that you are
Yeah.
at, you're doing just fine. You're doing the best.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Right.
think
And
that's important to
I,
remember, that it's not a finish line, it's not a race.
mm-hmm.
It's the moment you're dealing with or whatever. Take a deep breath, be in that moment, honor whatever feelings are coming up, but remember that things are temporary, and sometimes you just need to be in that present moment. I don't know another way to say it. Just try your best.
Yeah,
That's what I can
absolutely.
do, is
Yeah,
trying.
there's Yeah, I mean, because honestly, like that is at the end of the day, that's such a beautiful thing to be able to reflect on is like I did my best today under the circumstances of all the things that came up and all the feelings and all the things. And I mean, it's like your relationship with yourself is like a relationship with another person, right? You would never be mad at another person because they
Yep.
had a lot going on and they didn't get something done. You would be like, well, you did your best and you have tomorrow and we'll try again tomorrow. We'll see what tomorrow brings and we'll give our whatever 100% is. Even if I have 10% in the tank, I'll do 10% because that's what I got. You know what I mean? Like that's 100. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I think that you're just such a, again, just a lovely representation of that for people. So, as a business owner, what advice do you give to other women for them to start theirs? Like, there's people out there I know, my clients, people listening, whoever, and they're like, "Oh, I have this idea and I want to start, but like, what do I do? What do you advise?"
Um, I would do research.
Mhm.
I would do some research on, because it all depends what kind of business they're wanting to start.
Mhm.
Um, so like if someone wants to create journals or books, write a book or anything like that, you'd have to find like a publisher or a company, or you can self-publish. There's different routes to take. Um, but it can be easy as just getting out, making a page dedicated to your art form or your business that you want to start,
Mhm.
and just start putting out your creations and what you're making. It's so easy, well, easy, depending on the algorithm that day, but it's whatever you can sell online without having a dedicated website.
Yeah.
You can sign up for vendor events and just find like a small one or something to start off small and just have your stuff out there, have your socials, your contacts. Um, I think just the first step is trying to put yourself out there, getting your face out there so people are recognizing what you do.
Yeah.
And you learn a lot on the way. If you have
Yep.
a mentor or someone locally or friend you trust, that you can talk to for steps, that's
Mhm.
always gold. I didn't have that, so I just winged it. I think I went on social media first and started posting what I was making, and then people started getting interested. And then years later, I started doing vendor events.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I love that. Cool. Yeah. So there's again, there's no like perfect way to start. It is just sort of deciding to do it and working with what you have. And I feel like sometimes what blocks people, circling back to the perfection that you were touching on, is I can't start until I have a website. I can't start until I have this. I can't start until I have that. And it's like, but actually you can. Like it's a choice. You just choose to start. You just choose to put it out there. And it doesn't even have to be a finished thing. As you mentioned, it's something you were working on. So you might have included people on like I don't know, a shot of you like crocheting something or making something and been like, I'm doing this. And like people are intrigued by that. They're like, oh wow, she's doing something. I wonder what it cool. I'm gonna come back in a week and see what she finished, right? Like that's a really good marketing tool as well, is to shows
Yep.
have something halfway through because then it gets people's interest. But yeah, so
Mhm.
starting, honestly, just don't even overthink it. Just do something.
Just
Action.
post it. You're like, hey, look what I made.
I
Or
love
look what
it.
I'm doing. People like
Yes.
this stuff. And you'll get a lot of support from strangers. I think that's
Hmm.
one thing to keep in mind is sometimes that your closest people are not going to be your biggest supporters. I
It's
don't
a
know what.
fact.
Yeah, I see a lot of that sometimes. I have a really good chunk of people who support me.
Same.
Um, but it's more like other business owners and customers, I guess, that became friends that I've met along the way that
Hmm.
really, like push my stuff or share or like or comment and stuff like that or buy. Um, and it's not, there's like no hard feelings. Just keep it in mind. It's like, it's okay.
Hmm.
Not a, like, I don't like peanut butter. Blech. Peanut butter is not for everyone. You may not be for everyone, and that is
Facts.
okay.
Yeah.
To find your people. So it's just, yeah, just getting it out there, putting it out there, and being happy with what you put out there. Just enjoy what you're doing, and Don't care what people say.
Yes, girl. So, what advice do you have for BIPOC women, moms, business owners? What would you have to advise for them as well?
Um, don't do things for other people. Don't do it because you feel like this is going to make you happy. This
Hmm.
is what you want to see. Because
Hmm.
in the end, someone's going to be upset about something. You
Hmm.
can't make everyone happy. And
Hmm.
that's not what we're here for. Anyways, we weren't put on this earth. Like, you're here just to make people happy and be a people pleaser or whatever. It's like,
Hmm.
no, no, just do you live how you want. People get angry either way, so you might as well be happy on your end.
Right? Yeah. So real. I love that. Thank you. I think
Yeah.
that's going to really land.
Well, like once I hit 33, I think it really started hitting me.
Hmm.
33 was like a turning point in growing up or in
Hmm.
my timeline, whatever. I don't
Hmm.
know. So I think 33, a lot of stuff started really hitting, and then I'm still learning. So this stuff, I don't have it all figured out. There are days where I'm like, what am I doing? Why are people mad at me?
Yeah, of
You
course. I mean, I
know,
have those moments too. I think that's just life. Again, like I think it's just recognizing the ebb and flow of right vulnerability. Like sometimes we feel so strong and we're like, I've got this on top of the world. And then other days we're like, can I just crawl under a blanket and someone take care of me because I don't think I can take care of myself right now. Like
yeah,
I don't think I can take care of myself. So
balance.
when it comes to like, yeah, I think we talked about that, right? Just like our moments where like the breakdowns.
Yes, you cry in
Yeah.
the shower. That's the
Yeah.
best advice. So like,
Yes.
if your kids can leave you alone, that's the my go-to.
Yeah, because it's a part of coping. Like the reality is being in charge of so much. And it doesn't even have to be for anyone listening that's not a business owner, but is a mom or even is just a single person alive and like has a lot going on. Yeah. Coping is
Yeah,
one of like what we do every day is how we cope. And it's important to make sure we're opening ourselves up to just let the feelings flow. And I
yeah,
remember when we had our like other call, you were like, cry in the shower. And I was like, yes, I feel like everyone needs to
yeah.
hear that. It's so important
Hmm.
to just let it out. If let yourself have the breakdown, because I think not letting yourself having it is what I just feel like reinforces that feeling of like not good enough and maybe even shame because like you feel like you shouldn't be having a breakdown as an adult or whatever, which is just so we know that's nonsense. Like giving yourself permission to have it, I think helps you come out of it, like on the other side, and then you can do the things you got to do and feel maybe a little bit lighter, right?
That is, it's okay to have that breakdown. There's a reason why you're having it, and your body needs to have it.
Yeah.
Let it happen. I used to be an advocate for victims of violence, of domestic violence and sexual assault, and that was something that we were taught as well. To whenever we were speaking to a client and she or he mainly worked with women, if they started breaking down, that they advise we learned that don't give them a tissue right away.
Right.
The tissue symbolizes stopping it.
Yep.
And then that could go back to you shouldn't cry.
Mhm.
Crying's not going to do anything,
Yep.
depending on how you grew up, like
Yeah.
you're one if you cry. um so we would just let it all come out. Let
Yep.
ugly cry. Don't try to stop it up. And
Yep.
that's why I say in the shower too, because you can let all those boogies fall and it's
Yeah.
just the way. But it needs to come out.
It does. Yeah, I love that. I love what you're saying. I was taught that as well. We had to
Mhm.
so we always have tissues nearby if it's a one-on-one like in person. And basically, you don't want to disrupt the client's process. They're
Yeah,
processing something. Giving them the tissue stops their process. It engages the analytical mind and it gets them back into that place of the shoulds, woulds, coulds, and sort of brings forward the conditioning that we're working on unpacking in the moment of them crying and getting it out. And they're allowing themselves to really heal in that moment because feeling is healing. It's not analyzing the healing. It's not how it works, right? So
yeah.
I think that's such a beautiful thing. And I love that you have brought that practice into your own life and allowed yourself to just say, oh, I'm going to have a breakdown. Cool. I'm going to I'm gonna turn on the steam. I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna let myself I think that's important for I think that's really important for anyone listening that probably feels like they're gonna have a breakdown, but maybe isn't permissioning themselves to have it because they're analyzing it. So you heard it here, you guys. Maria says
Yeah,
have a breakdown, let yourself have
so
it,
fast.
and it's okay.
It's fine. It's fine. We've all done it.
Yeah,
You're
and we
not,
all will keep doing it.
but yes, sometimes you don't even have to have like a huge deep reason. If you're like, this is not a good enough reason to cry about it, why am I so sad? You don't have to have like huge trauma, like
No.
like awful thing happen. It could
Yep.
just be like, I dropped 8 things in a row today. I'm gonna go cry about it because
100%.
it just have to be.
Yeah, exactly. In whatever state you are, the wildness of existence, right?
Yeah.
So, is there anything else as we wrap up? Is there anything that you want to share?
Um, I think we covered a lot.
Yeah,
So
I feel really good.
sometimes you cry, sometimes you can have a dance party in your kitchen with your
Yeah.
kid. Just be wild.
Oh.
That's a lot of fun too.
Hmm.
Mine are on the spectrum, so I can't blast my music like I would like here.
So
Um,
cute.
there's like one or two songs I can do that with, and we're all screaming, like singing on the top of our lungs. That's a lot of fun.
Yes.
Um, I think it's important to pay attention to those little moments throughout the day too that
Yeah.
bring a ton of joy.
Hmm.
Sometimes you can have the worst day and you have those like one or two, and it's nice to not forget those little moments, and just be present. I still have to work on being more present because sometimes I get so hyper focused in what I'm doing, um, especially with social media. I can't stand it. It's awful, and it just puts me in a bad mood right away. If I know I
Hmm.
have to post things just to get people to see my stuff,
Hmm.
uh,
Hmm.
when I rather just create the whole time. But sometimes that takes away from the present moment. But I think it's important to remember just to be present with yourself too.
Yeah. Hmm.
Give yourself grace, honor
Hmm.
your feelings,
Hmm.
and work on just being you without feeling like you have to satisfy other people.
Yeah,
That's
that's
what
so
I'm
beautiful.
working on.
Same. Yeah, I feel like our listeners are as well. It's like I feel like one of those lifelong adventures that we're all on together. But I think we are all sharing the same space together, and I think that a lot of people are going to get encouragement and validation and inspiration, motivation from this episode. I just want to thank you so much for being here and giving me your time because I know time is valuable, and I really appreciate you. So, where can people find you? And you guys, again, we're going to link the information in the show notes, but I would love for you to tell us.
Yeah, I am on Facebook and Instagram at Sophie and Ari .shop. Um, my website is sophieandari.com, named after my children.
So cute.
And I am on TikTok. I don't really post that much on TikTok. My intent was to,
Okay.
but I love TikTok, so I'm just scrolling videos most of the time. On occasion, I might pop in there. I'm trying, but
Oh.
that's how I can be reached. So you can message or on any of the social platforms, and then my email is usually in my link too.
Cool.
If people need an email about anything.
Oh, a follow-up question. Do you do custom pieces and malas?
Yes, I do.
Okay,
So
cool.
I've done it where people tell me their intention, what they want
Hmm.
behind it, or what they're
Hmm.
going through, and I'll do my research and find out what would go with that, what kind of crystals. Because I do use gemstones. I do have wood beads too, but um, it all depends on the intent, really, and when people do customs,
Yeah.
usually. But yes, I do those as well.
I have to tell you guys, that was a selfish inquiry because I have an idea. I just like popped in my head and I was like, oh wait, I need to see if she does this. And then after our call, I'm gonna like talk to you about it because now that I know that I will be placing an order, girl. And then I'll show y'all and I'll tag you and you'll see it. So it's an ongoing thing. All right, so we're gonna wrap up. What I'm gonna do is just end the recording. So we're gonna say bye to everybody, but then you and I will keep talking, okay?
Okay.
All right, everybody. Bye.
Bye.